Hey, what's up everybody? We're heading out for the long run for the week. We got 3 to 5 inches of snow last night. Check it out. Anyway, that means none of the trails, not many of the roads are going to be clear. It's just going to be slow going. We were going to work our way up to like 22 to 23 miles today, but I think we'll probably just do 19 or 20 to make up for running on the snow, because that's more difficult. Anyway, watch just hit me with the GPS is ready, so let's get going. .01 miles, average pace of 9 minutes and 35 seconds per mile, and an average heart rate of 152 beats per minute. Hey, Andy Hahn here. As you know, this is my channel, and right now it's basically a running channel, and we are getting ready for the Austin Marathon. Now, got my phone here real quick. As you all know, I make this video on Sunday every week, and what we do is we talk about kind of the general view, right? We talk a little bit about today's run, we talk about the training week that was, and we talk about where we kind of are in relation to the Austin Marathon. So, I guess first let's talk about today's run, right? You saw the clips. We got 3 to 5 inches of snow, and I think it was closer to 5 out in the western suburb of Chicago last night into this morning. And I have to get up and run in the morning to make time for my runs, and so what that meant is that the snow had not been cleared at all from really the street, any of the sidewalks, or the trails. And so on top of 3 to 5 inches of snow, today was one of those days where the wind chill was basically around 0, and that was generated from like 14 to like 17 mile per hour constant winds. And that's kind of like a tough environment or conditions to run in weather-wise, right? Like that's pretty strong winds. And so I kind of had like a choice in front of me, right? I could either run the sidewalks / the roads around various neighborhoods around here and get some parts that might be kind of clean, some parts that were going to be not clean at all, and then kind of the in-between stuff, which is honestly the worst to run in, is the it's been partially cleared, or traffic is kind of turned into the slush, because that, in my opinion, other than just outright ice, is the worst, the slickest stuff to run in. And so what I chose to do, knowing that there probably wasn't going to be a lot of traffic yet on the forest preserve trails, which are untreated, they don't get cleaned at all during the winter, is I chose, I'm going to run the trails I traditionally run from the spring to the fall, knowing that they'd be under 3 to 5 inches of snow. But the upside of that was kind of twofold. The smaller upside is, one, it was going to be fresh snow, which provides a little bit of grip. The bigger upside is the forest preserve is kind of dense, and so it cuts down a lot of the wind. So it probably takes the effective wind from, if I had to guess, something like today where it was like 14 to 17 miles per hour, probably down to like 4 or 5. You don't get a lot of wind at all when you're back in the forest preserve. And so I opted to go for that, but obviously the downside is you're trekking through 3 to 5 inches of snow for basically the entire run. And that makes for kind of some slow going. So that's why the pace was slower today, and it's why I wasn't really too concerned about it. I mean, typically my long run paces, I'm trying to get between like 8 minutes and like maybe 8 1/4, because that's kind of like a good heart rate zone for my long runs. And today, obviously, we weren't able to hit those times. Now, the heart rate stayed relatively solid, right? 152 beats per minute. That's not like the best ever, but it's not great. But what I was really feeling was two things. One, the legs, right? Like I'll just come out and say, in my opinion, today's 20 miler was the hardest workout of this training block, and at least for me personally, for a few reasons. One, the snow, right? It's like running in slippery sand, and so even though my heart rate never got incredibly elevated trying to trek through this, like, it just kills the legs, right? Your legs have to work so much harder. You're working kind of slightly different muscle groups than you typically do when you're running for stabilization and balance, and it just drains the legs. Two, the other reason, actually there's going to be more than two reasons, but anyways, the second reason why it's hard is because of the wind chill, because of the outright temperature, full balaclava today, which means you're breathing through a layer of fabric the entire time. The only time I pulled it down was for the Morton gels, which I took every 5 miles, so 5, 10, and 15, and for water. While taking in gels and water, like I could feel the face getting considerably cold, right? And I know this is kind of gross, whatever, but like, particularly once you just drink in a bunch of water, by the time that I'd like get the mask back up, like you could feel like your lip kind of sticking, freezing, if you will, to like your teeth, because they're wet from the water, and like the cold air is just that cold that it's coming on that quickly. I also ran with the sunglasses today. One of the cool things about the sunglasses is when it's this cold, about 1.5 miles, I've talked about this before, the sunglasses, I think, get so cold that they no longer fog up. And that's actually really nice, because then you can see through them, so just clear them, at least for me, I just clear them back off, and I can run the rest of the run without having to worry about them fogging or really freezing over, and that's really kind of enjoyable. Another reason why today's long run was hard is because it came at the end of my first ever back-to-back 70-plus mile weeks. We've all seen the calendar before, the trusty calendar. But anyways, the 2nd to the 8th was my first ever 70-mile week. It was a total of 70.46 miles. The 9th to the 15th, I went to 75.86 miles. And finally, the 16th to the 22nd was 73.52 miles. So, I mean, that's by far the most I've ever done in 3 consecutive weeks. Now, I know for professional runners, or even like hobby runners that are much better than I am, been running for a longer time, like, it's a very respectable amount of miles, but it's not a ton. But each runner is individual and different, right? So for me, this was the first time I'd ever gone to kind of that level of running, and I felt it, right? I felt it last week when we did this, or my last video, I think on Wednesday, where we talked about kind of the cumulative fatigue, and now I'm feeling it. But the good news is we are past the 3 peak weeks as far as mileage goes, so now we're going to start going down the ladder all the way to the marathon. And so I'm looking forward to that, looking for the legs to bounce back. I guess let's kind of talk about the week that was. So I'm going to toss the week that was up here. Sorry, I got to pull it up on my computer so that way I can also see it. But I'm going to toss it up here on the screen. I'm not really sure which side yet. But, okay, so like I said, it was 73.52 miles. And as you know, kind of my flow to the week is Sunday long run, Monday, Wednesday, Friday are easy, and Saturday is also easy miles. And by easy, I don't mean like an easy workout, I mean easy heart rate. And Monday and Friday tend to be shorter distances. So long run on Sunday, 20 miles, 5 3/4 basically miles on Monday. Wednesday, easy miles were 8 and 8.35 miles. 5 1/4 on Friday, and 12 on Saturday. Now again, 12 is a long way to run for me, period, even if the pace, the effort is such that my heart rate doesn't get up. So it's not that they're like easy workouts. It's all about the pace and the heart rate. Okay, so then that leaves us Tuesday and Thursday. So as you can see, Tuesday was a total of 12 miles. There was 4 easy miles, and then there were 8 miles of a tempo workout. It was a mile warm-up, mile cool-down, and then 8 times half a mile repeats. The repeat time ended up being 3 minutes and 7 seconds per half mile. So what is that? It's an 6:14 per mile pace for a full mile. So not bad, not the best that I've had this block, but a few things to remember is this week we went back to kind of the bitter cold in Chicago. So this workout I remember specifically, the wind chill was like -5 or 0 or something. It was like basically 0 Fahrenheit or a little below. So it's tough to like get the body warmed up. The other thing about this is because we had kind of snow last week too, and this was early in the week, it was on Tuesday, it's hard to find a route with like nothing on it. And so 2 of those reps actually consisted of running over like packed snow. And those reps, I think if I remember correctly, I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but I think if I'm just remembering correctly, those 2 reps were both like 3.5 minutes or 3 minutes and 20 seconds, something like that, for a half mile, because that half mile, both of those half miles were basically ran on like a packed snow trail. So obviously that brings the average up, right, in the time. Take out those 2, I think I was closer to like 3 minutes per the other 6 half miles, add them back in, and we get to like 3:07. But anyway, overall I was pleased with that workout, particularly being in the midst of like fatigued legs and, you know, just the bitter cold. In the bitter cold, I've said this a million times, a broken record right now, it's hard to warm up your body, right? So that's issue number 1. Issue number 2, the gear is heavy, it's restrictive. And then issue 3 is often that you're breathing entirely through a mask at these temperatures because you don't want your face, and frankly, you don't really want your throat and your lungs exposed to that cold of temperature. So the mask kind of creates like almost a miniature, you know, environment around your face that retains the heat and acts as kind of a filter for the cold air coming in, gets warmed up a little bit between the mask and your face, gets warmed up more either in your, you know, your nose or your mouth before it gets, you know, into your actual respiratory system, which is a good thing. Okay, so then all we have left is the Thursday the Thursday workout, which is the 20th. This was 10.05 miles with 8 miles at perceived marathon pace. And I wrote this one down. Wind chill was -7. So we have all the same issues with the wind, with the cold, but it was really cold this day. And we still, at perceived effort, ran those 8 miles at like roughly 7.5 minutes per mile. Now that's slower than the goal marathon pace. But again, all the cold weather issues. The heart rate stayed pretty reasonable in those 8 miles. And again, it was those 8 miles were the same 8-mile course as the Tuesday tempo workout. And so again, on those 8 miles, we had these snow-covered parts that made up almost a mile of the 8 miles. And so it's quite a bit bringing the pace down. So that's the week that was. The week going forward, we have kind of the big highlight is, well, I guess today's run was another 20-miler. We'll talk about that real quick. My plan basically called for 4 20-milers in this block. I don't know if that's a lot or it's a little. It's more than some people do. Some people try to get like 3 in. I'm getting 4 in, and we've done 3 of the 4. And next Sunday, which is technically part of not this training week, but the next training week, we'll have the last 20-miler. So we're 3/4 of the way through the long 20-mile runs. This week, the mileage is stepping down. I think, I'm not entirely sure, and I might change this up, but I think right now I'm just planning on marathon efforts on Tuesday and Thursday as opposed to like a structured like 800 workout or anything like that. I was originally going to do the 10-rep Yasuo 800, so the full Yasuo workout on Tuesday, but looking at the weather ahead, Tuesday has a low of -8 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind chill, I'm sure, is going to be like -20 or something like that. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I don't think I need to be doing all-out tempo miles and that. The nice thing about doing like perceived marathon effort is it's about the effort, not exactly the pace. So I might do some of those miles on Tuesday if I even go out, right? I mean, -8 degrees Fahrenheit is getting really, really cold. But anyways, Thursday is going to be a little bit warmer, so we'll do some sort of pace work on Thursday, and then the same flow of like the easy runs. And then this is the last full week of like legitimate training. Not legit, I mean all of it's legitimate, but hard structured workouts. Starting January 30th. On the 30th we'll have our last 20-mile run, but that 20-mile run kicks off the 3-week taper. So we'll have a 20-miler, and then I think it's like a 16, and then I think it's 12. So down 4 miles each time. So it'll be 20, 16, 12, and then that following week is now, it will then be February 20th, and we'll be in the full marathon in Austin. Last thing, I'm going to pull up the Austin Marathon website and see exactly what the countdown is from when I'm recording this video, which I'm going to wrap up because it's the playoffs. It's the divisional round. Chiefs are playing the Bills, and it was halftime when I started. It may or may not be halftime when I get back out there, but anyways, per the countdown clock, 3 weeks, 6 days, 11 hours, and 46 minutes until we toe the line in Austin. That's not a lot of time, right? Most of the work's already been completed. We have 1 more week, 6 days of hard structured training, and then it's just kind of in freshening up, getting the nutrition, continuing to hone in the nutrition, and recovering the legs for the rest of those 3 weeks, and then we're good to go. So I know this was kind of long. The Sunday videos tend to be kind of long because there's a lot to talk about, right? Particularly when we go through step by step the previous week. Starting to get the kit lined up. I know it's a long way out, but historically, Austin, the time of the year that the race is, we're looking at like high 40s, low 50s in the morning. Starting to think what we're going to do there. One of the big things that I'm considering is like calf sleeves or not. Oh, this is something I'm really pleased with this training block, even considering the 3 high mileage weeks, is I've yet to suffer like a running related injury. Y'all know I accidentally kicked my toe pretty hard on the back of a chair in Jamaica. That's the only thing that's hampered any of the training. No muscle issues, no foot issues, no joint issues, no back issues, none of that sort of stuff. The Chicago Marathon, I don't know if I really said this or have said this. I talked about it a little bit on my Instagram. I took a pretty bad calf strain, probably 4.5 weeks or 5 weeks out from Chicago, and I was really kind of on edge of whether or not that would heal all the way getting in Chicago. So I was wearing the sleeves for about 4 or 5 weeks prior to Chicago, and then ran the marathon in the calf sleeves. I don't know, like the legs feel good. I don't know that I need them this time. But anyways, that's one of the big things on my head. I'm also working out the nutrition. But anyways, I've been talking for quite a long time. I'm going to leave it there. And thanks for watching. Thanks for looking at going through the last week with me, going through what's coming ahead. If you have any questions about why I do training the way I do it, now I'm no expert, but I will gladly let you know, like, inside my thought process, what's going on. Like, ask them in the comment section below. Appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks a lot. Let's go Chiefs. Finish this game out. I'll talk to you later.